Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantahe. Namo Namah Sadgurubhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Namah Sadgurubhyo Namo Namaha. Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Yam pravrajantamanupetamapetaकृत्यam dvaipayano virahakatara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya tarabobhineduhu tam sarvabhutahridayam munimanatosmi yasvanubhavamakila shrutisaramekam adhyatmadhipam atititirshatam tamondham samsarinam karunayaha purana guhyam tam vyasasunum upayami gurum muninam योगीन्द्राय नमस्तस्मै शुकाय ब्रह्मरूपिणे संसार सर्पदष्टं यो विष्णुरातम् अमुमुचते कालव्यालमुखग्रास त्रास निर्नाश हेतवे श्रीमद्भागवतं शास्त्रं कलौकीरेण भाषितम् एतस्मादपरं किञ्चित् मनःशुद्धेन विद्यते जन्मान्तरे भवेत् पुण्यं तदा भागवतं लभेत् ज्ञानवैराग्यसम्पूर्णान् हरिभक्तिपरायणान् पूर्वाचार्यादहं वन्दे सम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकान् भगवन्नाम साम्राज्यं लक्ष्मी सर्वस्वविग्रहं श्रीमद्बोधेन्द्रयोगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रम् उपास्महे कलिकालोचितं धर्मं नाम संकीर्तनात्मकं निर्णेतुमवतीर्णं तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे हरे रामेति कृष्णेति नाम संकीर्तनं सदा लोकक्षेमाय कुर्वन्तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनं श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यते प्रकृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् श्रीमद्भागवताख्योऽयं प्रत्यक्षः कृष्ण एव हि स्वीकृतोऽसि मया नाथ मुक्त्यर्थं भवसागरे मनोरथो मदीयोऽयं सफलः सर्वथा त्वया निर्विघ्नेनैव कर्तव्यो दासोऽहं तव केशव श्रीहरे नमः श्रीहरे नमः श्रीहरे नमः गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्द गोविन्द सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, let's do a review of 13 from stanza 17. Revati, can you do 22 stanzas? And then let me see who else I had. And Srividya Ramesh, you can do the other half. Revati, Irkela?
Can I start the 17th?
Yeah, you can start from 17th. Okay. Yeah.
उल्मुको जनयत् पुत्रान् पुष्करिण्यां षट् उत्तमान् अङ्गं सुमनसं ख्यातिं क्रतुं मङ्गिरसं खयं सुनीताङ्कस्य या पत्नी सुषवे वेनमुल्पणं यद्धौशील्यात् स राजर्षिः निर्विण्णो निरकात् पुरात्.
Revati, in the first line, the Sushuve.
Sushuve. Yeah.
First line after the comma.
सुनीताङ्कस्य पत्नी सुषुवे.
Yeah.
Okay. यम् अङ्गेशे बहु कुपिता वाक् वज्रमुनयः किल Kila Katasostasya Bhuyaste Mamandurdakshинam Karam Aradya.
Kupitaha, we added the visarga there, Kupitaha and comma after that. First line, like.
Okay. Araje ke tata loke tasyubhi piditav prajaha jato narayanam sena praturadhyah kshiptisvaraha.
Prituradhyah.
Kshittisvaraha. Kshittisvaraha.
Prituradhyah Kshitishwaraha.
Praturadhyah adhyakshittisvaraha. அப்படி சொல்லலாமா?
The visarga has to be said.
Okay.
Prituradhyah Kshitishwaraha.
Okay. Praturadhyah kshittisvaraha. Vidura uvacha tasya शीलनिते साधोः ब्रह्मण्यस्य महात्मनः राज्ञकथम् अबुद्धुष्टा प्रजायत् विमनाययौ किं बाहो वेन उत्तिष्य ब्रह्मदण्डम् आयुयुजन् दण्डव्रतधरे राज्ञी मुनयो धर्मगो कोविताः नावद्येयः प्रजापालः प्रजाभिरहवानभि यद्धसौ लोकपालानां बिभर्त्योजस्वतेजसा एतत् आख्याहि मे ब्रह्मन् सुनीतात्मजसेष्टितं श्रद्धधानाय भक्ताय त्वं प्रावरवित्तमः मैत्रेय
Last line. Tvam Paravaravittamaha.
त्वं परावरवित्तमः मैत्रेय उवाच अङ्गोष्वमेतं राजर्षिः आजहार महाक्रतुं नाजग्मुर्देवदास्तस्मिन् आहुता ब्रह्मवादिभिः तम् ऊचुर्विस्मितास्तत्र यजमानम् अदर्त्विजः हवींषि ह्यूयमानानि न ते गृह्णन्ति देवताः राजन्हविंशय दुष्टानि श्रद्धया सातिदानि ते छन्दांसय यातयामानि योजितानि धृतवृतैः न वितामेह देवानां हेलनं वयम् अन्वपि यन्न गृह्णन्ति बाहान् स्वान्ये देवाः कर्म साक्षिणः
And the swan,
मैत्रे
and the last, Yenna Grinanti Bhagan Swan, comma,
देवाः
Ye Deva Karma Sakshinaha.
ओके यगृह्णन्ति भागान् स्वान् ये देवाः कर्म साक्षिणः मैत्रेय उवाच अङ्गोत्विजवच श्रुत्वा यजमानः सुदुर्मनाः तत्प्रष्टुं व्यसृजद्वासं स तस्यांस्तत् अनुज्ञया नाहश्चन्त्याहुता देवा न गृह्णन्ति गृहान् इह सतसस्पतयो प्रूद किम् अवद्यं मया कृतं
First line, first line, Devaha. Okay, we added the visarga
அதுல
there. First line.
விசர்க்கம் இருக்காங்க.
அங்க add பண்ணணும். Devaha, comma. And then second line, after Bruta, it's a comma. Sadasas Patayo Bruta.
Okay. नागच्छन्त्याहुता देवाः न गृह्णन्ति ग्रहानिह सतसस्पदयो ब्रूद किम् अवद्यं मया कृतं सतसस्पतय ऊचुः नरदेवः भवतो नाहं धावन्मनाक् स्थितम् अस्त्येकं पराक्तनम् अहं यत् इहे ध्रुवत्वम् अप्रजः.
And this first line after Bhavatau, second line after Praktanamagam, and then comma. Okay, after Bhavatau and Praktanamagam.
Okay. तथा सादय पत्रं ते आत्मानं सुप्रजं नृप इष्टस्ते पुत्रकामस्य पुत्रं दास्यति यज्ञपुक् तदा स्वबाहते यानि गृहीष्यन्ति दिवौगसः यत् यज्ञपुरुषः साक्षात् अभत्याय हरिर्वृतः.
First line, gra sound, okay. Grahishyanti. After the comma, gra sound. Grahishyanti divokasah.
Where is gra sound?
First line, after the comma. Grahishyanti divokasah. I think you said gr, it's a gra there.
Grihishyanti divo.
Grahishyanti.
ग्रहीष्यन्ति दिवोकसः तान् कामान् हरिर्दत्यात् यान् यान् कामयते जनः आराधितो यथैवैक्ष तदा पुंसां फलोदयः
Then we
इति
change it to tathaivaishah. Second line.
Okay.
Aradito
Aradita tataivaishata.
tathaivaishah.
Okay. इति व्यवसिता विप्राः तस्य राज्ञः प्रजातये पुरोडासं निरवपंशिभिविष्टाय विष्णवे तस्मात् पुरुष उत्तस्तौ हेममाल्यमलाम्बरः हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सिद्धम् आदाय पायसं स विप्रानुमतो राजा गृहीत्वाञ्जलीनौदनम् अवग्राय मुदा युक्तः प्रातात् पत्न्या उदारतीः सा तत्पुंस्वनं राज्ञी प्राश्य वैपत्युरादते गर्भं काल उभावृत्ते कुमारं सुषुवे प्रजा स बाल एव पुरुषो मातामहमनुवृतः अधर्मां सोद्भवं मृत्युं तेनाभवत् अधार्मिकः.
You can stop. You can stop there.
Okay.
Addition kicked out on 34 second line. Tathai Vaishaha, or there is no visargam?
Yeah, tathai vaishah.
Okay, there is a visarga over there.
Okay. Yeah, visarga there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sasharasanamuttyamya mrigayurvanagocharaha antya sadurmrigandīnān veno satvitya rojanaha akride kridato balan vyasanana ati sorry
Vayasyan.
Okay. Vayasyana atidarunah prasahya निरनुक्रोशः पशुमारममारयत् तं विचक्ष्य कलं पुत्रं शसनैर्विविधैर्नृपः नृपैः यदा न शासितुं कल्पो वृषमासीत सुदुर्मनाः प्राणेयाभ्यर्चितो देवो ये प्रजागृहमेदिनः कदपत्यभृतं दुःखं येन विन्दन्ति दुर्भरं यतः पापीयसी कीर्तिः अधर्मश्च महान् नृणां यतो विरोधः सर्वेषां यत् आधिरनन्तकः कस्तं प्रजापदेशं वै मोहबन्धनमात्मनः पण्डितो बहुमन्येत यथार्थाः क्लेशदा गृहाः कदपत्यं वरं मन्ये सदपत्याच्छुचां पदात् निर्विद्येत गृहान् मर्त्यो यत्क्लेशनिवहा गृहाः एवं स निर्विण्णमना नृपो गृहान् गृहात् निशीत उत्थाय महोदयोदयात् अलब्धनिद्रोऽनुपलक्षितो नृभिः हित्वा गतो वेनसुवं प्रसुप्तां विज्ञाय निर्विद्य गतं पतिं प्रजाः पुरोहितामात्य सुहृद्गणादयः विचिक्युरुव्यामतिशोककातराः यथा निगूढं पुरुषं कुयोगिनः अलक्षयन्तः पदवीं प्रजापतेः हतोद्यमाः प्रत्युपसृत्य ते पुरीं ऋषीन् समेतानभिवन्द्य श्राशवोऽन्यवेदयन् पौरवभर्तुविप्लवम् அது நம்ம சேர்த்து சொல்றோமா பிரிக்கணுமாங்க?
இல்ல அங்க கரெக்ட் தான். சாஸ்ரவோ न्यवेदयन् पौरव भर्तृ विप्लवम्.
ओके, भर्तृ विप्लवम्. इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां चतुर्थस्कन्धे त्रयोदशोऽध्यायः.
Rajesh, question. In the 48 second line, Soka Kataraha, then Yataha visargam irukka. Okay.
இல்ல அங்க யதாஹாக்கு விசர்க்கம் இல்ல, காதராஹ யதா நிகூடம்.
Yatha Nikodam. Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
अथ चतुर्थोऽध्यायः मैत्रेयो उवाच भृग्वादयस्ते मुनयो लोकानां क्षेमदर्शिनः गोप्तर्यसति वै नृणां पश्यन्तः पशुसाम्यतां वीरमातरमाहूय सुनीतां ब्रह्मवादिनः प्रकृत्य सम्मतं वेनम् अभ्यषिञ्चन् पतिं भुवः श्रुत्वा नृपासनगतं वेनमत्युग्रशासनं निलिल्युर्दस्य यवसद्यः सर्पत्रस्ता इवाखवः स आरूढनृपस्थानः उन्नद्धो नष्टविभूतिभिः अवमेने महाभागान् स्तब्धः सम्भावितस्तवः
Sorry,
एवं
the first line after the comma. Unnadhoshta.
Okay. उन्नद्धोष्टविभूषितिभिः
Vibhutibihi, yeah.
विभूतिभिः एवं मदान्त उत्सिक्तो निरङ्कुश इव द्विपः पर्यटन् रथमास्थाय कम्पयन्निव रोदसी न यष्टव्यं न दातव्यं न होतव्यं द्विजाः कच्चित् इति न्यवारयद्धर्मं भेरीघोषेण सर्वशः वेनस्यावेक्षमुनयो दुर्वृत्तस्य विचेष्टितं विमृश्य लोकव्यसनं कृपयोचु स्म सत्रिणः अहो उभयतः प्राप्तं लोकस्य व्यसनं महत् दारुण्युभयतो दीप्त इव तस्करपालयोः अराजकभयादेशः कृतो राजतद्धर्हणः ततोऽप्यासीद्भयं त्वद्य कथं स्यात् स्वस्ति देहिनाम् अहेरिव पयः पोषः पोषकस्याप्यनर्थभृत् वेनः प्रकृत्यैव कलः सुनीता गर्भसम्भवः निरूपितः प्रजापालः सजिगांसति वै प्रजाः तथापि सन्त्वये मामुं नास्मांस्तत्पातकं स्पृशेत् तद्विद्वद्भिर असक्तवृतो असद्वृत्तो वेनोऽस्माभिः कृतो नृपः सान्त्वितो यदि नो वाचं न ग्रहीष्यत्यधर्मकृत् लोकाधिकारसन्दग्धं दहिष्यामः स्वतेजसा एवमध्यवसायैनं मुनयो गूढमन्यवः उपवृज्या ब्रुवन् वेनं सान्त्वयित्वा च सामभिः.
I think that's where we stopped. I think 13, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rajesh, one question. The third sloka, first. Okay. Nripanasa gatam va?
Nripasana gatam.
Gatam. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Nripasana gatam. Okay. All right. So I haven't started the meaning of 14. So I'll just break it into two and say the half of 14, and then we'll continue with the rest. It's a small chapter anyway. So I think on this, we saw in the last one about Anga, right? In the lineage of Dhruva, we saw about Anga, and then how he had a son called Vena, and then Anga was completely torn, right? First, he was a little worried that he had a son who is a very bad son. So he wished that, somebody rather not have a son than have a bad son. And then he came to the realization it is actually Bhagavan's blessings that he actually has a bad son, because now he is not going to get attached to the family, and it gives him a good excuse to renounce everything and actually go, right? So with that, Anga then relinquishes his kingdom and everything, and then he takes up sannyasam and then he leaves. Now the country or the region is now without a king. So naturally, when there is no king, when there is no ruler, then it all leads to chaos, right? There's no leadership, there's no regulation. Everybody can do whatever they want. So everybody began to do whatever they want. So, so the sages who are there are going to be two types of people. There are going to be the ministers who are the advisors for the king. And then there are the sages who are kind of also like spiritual leaders. Think of them that way, who also have a voice here. So the sages, they go and say, Sunita, who's Anga's wife, Vena's mother, saying that okay, Anga has gone, we need to make somebody the king, right? And they know this boy Vena is completely cruel. He does all these atrocities, but they feel like somebody has to take over the kingdom. So they go tell Sunita, can we make your son Vena the king? And she's like, fine. So they ended up making Vena the king. Now, Vena is a very cruel person. We saw even when he was small, he went around killing animals and all of that stuff. So the first time that Vena comes around, all these thieves and everybody else become very careful because they're very afraid because he's also a pretty bad guy. So they're worried that if they end up committing, this guy will come and kill them. So they initially calm down, right? So initially it feels like order is restored because all these thieves and all the bad people were going to hiding. But then gradually Vena gains power, right? He gains power, and now he feels he has control over everything. So naturally he gets very proud and arrogant, and what he starts doing is he starts going and taking over everything in this essentially kingdom. Is he is absolutely not humble. He has a lot of power, no humility, and then he goes around and then he starts doing all these atrocities. So once he takes over, then it is just fear everywhere, right? Disturbances everywhere, fear everywhere. And what the first thing he does is it talks about any like the sacrifices, any yajna and all the charity, all the good deeds that are actually happening. First, he bans all of that stuff, right? So essentially, he disconnects people from doing anything which is spiritual or anything which is dharmic in nature, and that causes more disorders within the society. So then things starts going south from there, right? Everything starts becoming down from there, and so all these what do you call the robbers who are thieves who are first hiding, they now come and realize, look, the boss, the king itself is doing all these atrocities, which means we now have full freedom to do whatever we want, right? So they also come out essentially. So which means the kingdom, on one end you have this king who's doing all these atrocities, other end you have these thieves who are doing all these atrocities, and the people get stuck in middle because they have nowhere to go. So at this time the sages come and say, you know what, it is a big mistake. We thought we needed somebody to be there, and because of which we installed Vena. But now this person ends up being so bad that things have actually become worse. So they say the best option for us is we need to go talk to this Vena and then see if we can actually calm him down and actually make things proper with him. So all of this, they say, okay, first let's go do it in a nice way. So first, then they go approach Vena. So in 14th stanza, it says Munaya Uchuhu. So these rishis go and then they go talk to Vena. First, they talk to him in a very calm way. They're trying to do all the good things, right? They're saying that, you are the king. You are supposed to do all the right things. You are supposed to lead all these people because whatever you do, others are going to follow. So they kind of give him all the good things he's supposed to do. And how it is good for the king to do this because that's his dharma, that's his duty. And by doing it, he follows his dharma for this life, which means he's going to get benefits for following his dharma. They say all the right things, and they also tell him how if he doesn't do it, how all the bad things are going to happen because he's not following his rights. The entire country is going to ruin. So they give him a long lecture, right, which is kind of going from 14 to 22. They give him advice, basically. That's what is happening from 14 to 22. Now, Vena there starts in 23. Vena responds. So he says that all of you are wrong. He says all of you don't understand what true religion is, right? He says the way you all are practicing is not right. He says the king is the supreme lord. So they initially go tell him that you should worship the supreme lord. You worship him, you get all the benefits. You have to encourage people to worship. He says, I accept that you have to worship the supreme lord, but he says, I am that supreme lord, right? You are mistaken in who the supreme lord is, right? He says that's where the confusion is. He says this is very similar to what Hiranyakashipu is going to say as well, right? He says you have to worship me, right? Because I am the greatest, right? He says you have to worship. All of that is right. I will let you start doing those yajnas, but it has to be all offered to me, right? And he says, you going and worshipping somebody else. So in 26, some stanzas, he's going to call out Agni, Vayu, all of that. There's 26 and 27. Vishnur, Virincho, Girishaha, Indro, Vayur, Yamo, Ravihi. So he calls out all these gods and demigods by names. He says, you going and worshipping all of them when I am around is like a female who is having an extramarital affair with somebody else when her husband is still there. So because husband is there, why do you want to go have extramarital affairs? So he says, when I am there, you should be worshipping me. But you are going and worshipping all those other demigods, right? He says all of that is completely wrong. It is completely this. So he says, he strongly says that you have to completely stop everything you are doing. You all have to worship me. That is essentially what Vena is going to say till 28. And then a little complicated section is going to come from 29. So I'll do it a little after the first break that we have. So anyway, so up to this point, they come and tell him to do, stop all these atrocities. And he says, yes, it is possible, but you all have to worship me instead. So that is this Vena's story so far. Okay, so let's have Narayan, you can be student, and Kalpana, you can be student. So I think we will do from 14. Munaya uchuhu nripa varya nibodhaitat. So the dhya that is there, we're going to break it into it and the ya. Nibodhaitat, comma. Yatte vijñāpayāma bhoho ayush shri bala kirtinam, comma. Tava tata vivardhanam. Munaya uchuhu ripavarya nibodhaitat. Yatte vijñāpayāma bhoho ayush shri bala kirtinam. Tava tata vivardhanam.
Munayavuchuhu ripavarya nipodaitat yatte vignapayama bhoho ayushri palakirtinam tavatata vivardhanam.
Kirtinam, long e enga.
Kirtinam.
Uchuhu Lipavarya Nivodjaitad Yatte Vijñāpayāma Bhoho Ayushri Balakirtinam Tavatata Vivardhanam.
Dharma acharitah pumsam, comma, vang manah kaya buddhibihi lokan vishokan vitarati. So the thya that is there, we're going to break it. Vitarati, comma. Next word will start with the a. Athanantyam asanginam. Dharma acharitah pumsam vang manah kaya buddhibihi lokan vishokan vitarati. Athanantyam asanginam.
Dharma acharitah pumsam vangmanah kaya buddhibihi lokan vishokan vidarati atanantyam asankinam.
Dharma Acharita Pumsam Vangmana Kaya Buddhibhihi Lokan Vishokan Vitarati Atanantyama Sanghinam.
Sate ma vinashe dvira, comma, prajanam kshema lakshanaha yasmin vinashte nripatihi. So the rai that is there, that first put a visarga, comma, nripatihi. Next word will start with the I. Aishwaryat avarohati. Sate ma vinashe dvira prajanam kshema lakshanaha yasmin vinashte nripatihi Aishwaryat avarohati.
Sate ma vinashedvira prajanam kshema lakshanah yasmin vinashte nripatihi aishwaryad avarohati.
Sate ma vinashed prajanam kshema lakshanah yasmin vinashte nripatihi aishwaryat avarohati.
So the important thing here, right? So the people who are born as kings or people who are born as administrative rulers, see, when we do a karma, when we do an action, some people are affected around us, right? Like our family gets affected. Let's say I go do something stupid tomorrow, my family gets affected, right? Or I do something good, my family will benefit or hurt by it. But the king has, or administrators have greater responsibility. So that is, they are actually responsible. So when they do something and it actually affects a lot of them, the karma they actually get from that is amplified, because they are actually causing either good to a lot of people or they're actually causing bad to a lot of people, right? So the impact of what they do versus what normal most of us do is different. So that is what they are actually telling here, saying that you are a king, which means that if you do good deeds, it benefits a lot of people, which means you generate a lot of good karma. But at the same time, you do something wrong, a lot of people are going to get impacted, which means you're building a lot of negative karma, right? So it is very important that you do the right thing because you have the powers right now. Rajanna Sadhva Matyebhyah. So that word, you cannot break it at all. So all the way till the ish it goes, the ish goes away, visarga. Rajanna Sadhva Matyebhyah, comma. Choradibhyah Prajanripah. Rakshan Yata Balim Grinnan. So you have a double na and the e. First put a in, Grinnan, comma. Iha Pritya Cha Modate. Rajanna Sadhva Matyebhyah Choradibhyah Praja Nripah Rakshan Yata Bhalim Grinnan Iha Pritya Cha Modate.
राजन्न साध्वमाद्येभ्यः चोरादिभ्यः प्रजानृपः रक्षन् यथा बलिं गृह्णन् इह प्रेत्य च मोदते
राजन्नसाध्वमात्येभ्यः चोरादिभ्यः प्रजानृपः रक्षन् यथा बलिं गृह्णन् इह प्रेत्य च मोदते
Yasya Rashtre Pure Chaiva, Bhagavan Yajnapurushah Ijyate Svena Dharmena, Janair Varnashramanvitaihi. So people who are in whatever varna, people who are in whatever ashrama in any of those four, you have to treat them all equal and give them all opportunity to pray to Bhagavan. That is the responsibility of the king, to give access. Yasya Rashtre Pure Chaiva Bhagavan Yajnapurushah Ijyate Svena Dharmena Janair Varnashramanvitaihi.
यस्य राष्ट्रे पुरे चैव भगवान् यज्ञपुरुषः युज्यते स्वेन धर्मेण जनैर्वर्णाश्रमान्वितैः
यस्य राष्ट्रे पुरे चैव भगवान् यज्ञपूरुषः युज्यते स्वेन धर्मेण जनैर्वर्णाश्रमान्वितैः
तस्य राज्ञो महाभाग, भगवान् भूतभावनः परितुष्यति विश्वात्मा, तिष्ठतो निज शासने. तस्य राज्ञो महाभाग भगवान् भूतभावनः परितुष्यति विश्वात्मा तिष्ठतो निज शासने.
तस्य राज्ञो महाभाग भगवान् भूतभावनः परितुष्यति विश्वात्मा तिष्ठतो निजशासने.
तस्य राज्ञो महाभाग भगवान् भूतभावनः परितुष्यति विश्वात्मा तिष्ठतो निजशासने.
तस्मिन् स्तुष्टे किमप्राप्यं, जगताम् ईश्वरेश्वरे लोकाः सपाला हेतस्मै, हरन्ति बलिमादृताः. तस्मिन् स्तुष्टे किमप्राप्यं जगताम् ईश्वरेश्वरे लोकाः सपाला हेतस्मै हरन्ति बलिमादृताः.
तस्मिन् स्तुष्टे किमप्राप्यं जगताम् ईश्वरेश्वरे लोकाः सपाला हेतस्मै हरन्ति बलिमादृताः.
तस्मिन् स्तुष्टे किमप्राप्यं जगताम् ईश्वरेश्वरे लोकाः सपाला ह्येतस्मै हरन्ति बलिमादृताः.
तं सर्वलोकामर यज्ञ संग्रहं, त्रयीमयं द्रव्यमयं तपोमयं यज्ञैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते, राजन् स्वदेशान् अनुरोद्धुम् अर्हसि. Just breaking at that nan im, अनुरोद्धुम् अर्हसि. तं सर्वलोकामर यज्ञ संग्रहं त्रयीमयं द्रव्यमयं तपोमयं यज्ञैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते राजन् स्वदेशान् अनुरोद्धुमर्हसि.
तं सर्वलोकामरयज्ञसङ्ग्रहं त्रयीमयं द्रव्यमयं तपोमयं यज्ञैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते राजन् स्वदेशान् अनुरोद्धुम् अर्हसि.
तं सर्वलोकामरयज्ञसङ्ग्रहम् त्रयीमयं द्रव्यमयं तपोमयं यज्ञैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते राजन् स्वदेशान् अनुरोधुमर्हसि
यज्ञेन युष्मत् विषये द्विजातिभिः विसर्गा कॉमा द्विजातिभिः. Next word ir goes away. विताय मानेन सुराः कलाहरेः स्विष्टाः सुतुष्टाः प्रदिशन्ति वाञ्छितं कॉमा तद्धेलनं नार्हसि वीरचेष्टितुम्. यज्ञेन युष्मत् विषये द्विजातिभिः वितायमानेन सुराः कलाहरेः स्विष्टाः सुतुष्टाः प्रदिशन्ति वाञ्छितं तद्धेलनं नार्हसि वीरचेष्टितुम्.
यज्ञेन युष्मद्विषये द्विजातिभिः वितायमानेन सुराः कलाहरेः स्विष्टाः सुदुष्टाः प्रदिशन्ति वाञ्छितं तद्धेलनं नार्हसि वीरचेष्टितुम्.
यज्ञेन युष्मद्विषये द्विजातिभिः वितायमानेन सुरः कलाहरेः स्विष्टा सुतुष्टा प्रदिशन्ति वाञ्छितं तद्धेलनं नार्हसि वीरचेष्टितुम्.
वेनौवाच बालिशा बत यूयं वा कॉमा अधर्मे धर्ममानिनः ये वृत्तिदं पतिं हित्वा कॉमा जारं पतिम् उपासते. So here is where Vena is responding. वेनौवाच बालिशा बत यूयं वा अधर्मे धर्ममानिनः ये वृत्तिदं पतिं हित्वा जारं पतिमुपासते.
वेनौवाच बालिशा बत यूयं वा अधर्मे धर्ममानिनः ये वृत्तिदं पतिं हित्वा जारं पतिम् उपासते.
वेनोवाच बालिशा बत यूयं वा अधर्मे धर्ममानिनः ये वृत्तितं पतिं हित्वा जारं पतिम् उपासते.
अवजानन्त्यमी मूढाः आड विसर्गा there comma मूढाः नृप रूपिणम् ईश्वरं नानु विन्दन्ति ते भद्रम् इम comma इह लोके परत्र च. So he says you have to worship the Nripa Rupinam, the worshipping the king in the form of Ishvara, by worshipping him as a king, as a supreme lord. That is the one, who don't do that will not get any benefits. And you are a mudha, you are like, ignorant people. Avajanantyami mudhaha nriparupinam ishwaram nanu vindanti te bhadram iha loke paratracha.
अवजानन्त्यमी मूढाः नृपरूपिणम् ईश्वरं नानुविन्दन्ति ते भद्रम् इह लोके परत्र च.
अवजानन्त्यमी मूढाः नृपरूपिणम् ईश्वरं नानुविन्दन्ति ते भद्रम् इह लोके परत्र च.
को यज्ञ पुरुषो नाम यत्र वो भक्तिरीदृशी भर्तृ स्नेह विदूराणां यथा जारे कुयोषिता. को यज्ञ पुरुषो नाम यत्र वो भक्तिरीदृशी भर्तृ स्नेह विदूराणां यथा जारे कुयोषिता.
को यज्ञपुरुषो नाम यत्र वो भक्तिरीदृशी भर्तृस्नेहविदूराणां यथा जारे कुयोषिताम्.
को यज्ञपुरुषो नाम यत्र वो भक्तिरीदृशी भर्तृस्नेहविदूराणां यथा जारे कुयोषिताम्.
विष्णुर् विरिञ्चो गिरिशः, so add a visarga there, comma गिरिशः. इन्द्रो वायुर् यमो रविः पर्जन्यो धनदस् सोमः, comma क्षितिर अग्निर अपाम्पतिः. So he's just calling out all the names, right? So all of these people, he says his logic is all of them reside in the king. So by worshipping the king, you get to worship all of them because the king is a ruler. So they all are part of the king's body. Vishnurvirincho girishah Indro vayuryamo ravihi Parjanyo dhanadas somah Kshitiragnierapampatihi.
विष्णुर्विरिञ्चो गिरिशः इन्द्रो वायुर्यमो रविः पर्जन्यो दनदः सोमः क्षितिरग्निरपाम्पतिः
विष्णुर्विरिञ्चो गिरिशः इन्द्रो वायुर्यमो रविः पर्जन्यो दनदः सोमः क्षितिरग्निरपाम्पतिः
एते चान्ये च विबुधाः प्रभवो वरशापयोः देहे भवन्ति नृपतेः सर्वदेवमयो नृपः एते चान्ये च विबुधाः प्रभवो वरशापयोः देहे भवन्ति नृपतेः सर्वदेवमयो नृपः
एते चान्ये च विबुधाः प्रभवो वरशापयोः देहे भवन्ति नृपतेः सर्वदेवमयो नृपः
एते चान्ये च विबुधाः प्रभवो वरशापयोः देहे भवन्ति नृपतेः सर्वदेवमयो नृपः
तस्मान् मां कर्मभिर्विप्राः add a visarga there विप्राः यजध्वं गतमत्सराः बलिं च मह्यं हरत मत्तोऽन्यः कोऽग्रभुक् पुमान् तस्मान् मां कर्मभिर्विप्राः यजध्वं गतमत्सराः बलिं च मह्यं हरत मत्तोऽन्यः कोऽग्रभुक् पुमान्
तस्मान् मां कर्मभिर्विप्राः यजध्वं गतमत्सराः बलिं च मह्यं हरत मत्तोऽन्यः कोऽग्रभुक् पुमान्
तस्मान् मां कर्मभिर्विप्राः यजत्वं गतमत्सराः बलिं च मह्यं हरत मत्तोऽन्यः कोऽग्रभुक् पुमान्.
We'll switch here and then perfect place to finish the rest of the meaning from 29. So, so they tried talking to Vena, but no luck, right? He keeps telling all this. So the sages figure out that there's no option, right? So they figured that because he's continuing to insult the sages and then, he's not going to change here. So what they say is the best way. First, they said after Anga left, there was nobody. So they had to make him the king. But now he's becoming bad. So now they say that it's better to, like very similar to Anga, they say it's better to not have him as a king than to have him as a king, because things are even worse with him, right? So unfortunately, they say it's time to get rid of the king, right? So he says he's unfit because of all the things he's actually doing, and plus he's also preventing others. So one thing is doing bad. The second thing is preventing people from doing good. That's what he continued to do, right? So what these sages do, sorry. So I sorry, Ramesh muted that. I don't want to comment on what we have now, but so they decide that it's better to get rid of him, right? So very similar. So what the sages do, right? And if you all remember in Devi Mahatmyam, right, in the 6th chapter, there is actually when she's fighting Dhumra Lochana, it says Ityukta Sobhya Dhavatam Asuro Dhumra Lochanaha Hunkare Naiva Bhasma Sachakarambika Tataha. So Devi does a hum, and with that vibration of the sound, Dhumra Lochana dies, right? That comes in Devi Mahatmyam. But here, very similar thing happens, right? What happens is these sages, they actually utter that word hum. So you can see that in stanza 34. Nijagnur hum kritair vainam, right? So they just utter that word hum, which probably, I don't know what it means. Maybe it carries some special vibrations or special sound, right? Which comes from that, because of which just by them, all these sages uttering that word, this Vena also becomes Bhasma. He is also getting burned and he dies essentially. Very similar to Dhumra Lochana, with just utterance of that. They don't use any weapons. They just utter those words. And because of that, Vena then dies. So now Vena is dead. So now Vena is gone, which means they don't have anything. So now they all go back. The sages all go back because Vena is done. Now, Vena's mother, Sunita, who's Anga's wife, she preserves the body of Vena, right? So, Vidya Yogena. So, with some knowledge that she has, she's preserving this body of Vena for a long time. Now, time passes, some amount of time passes, don't know what time. And then the sages are one day, they're all like everything is calm. They're sitting there. Suddenly they see a big dust storm coming. They see a lot of dust coming up. And they see what's happening is these, these robbers and thieves have taken over again. So, it's like this just keeps on going in a cycle, so they get rid of him. Now these people become more powerful. So the sages also don't know what to do right now. So they see that, what do we do right now? So what they decide to do is, the words which are used here, and I won't know to explain it scientifically if you ask me how. So what they do is they say they want to maintain the lineage of Anga, because Anga comes in the Dhruva's lineage, and from Anga Vena has come, right? So they feel that Vena and that lineage has to continue. So what they do is they churn the right thigh of Vena. Okay. Now, I don't know what do you mean by churning the right thigh. So they probably do something, right? So they turn the right thigh of Vena. Now, Vena is dead, right? So his body doesn't have any, no soul or anything left in Vena's body. But his body is being maintained. The physical body is being maintained. So I don't know what karmic impressions are left in there and all of that stuff, right? That's why I said it's a little complicated thing. So they churn the right thigh of Vena. And first what comes out is, it says like a small dwarf comes out who is very black in color. And the black in color really is referring to Vena's body has a lot of sin. So they're kind of getting rid of the sin. That's the explanation given. I don't know technically what it means, right? Because later on, somebody is going to come later. Two people are going to come later, which is the avataram, right? So first the sin comes out of Vena's body, which it says is a person called as Bahuka, because he's like black like a cow, like a crow, black like a crow. So he's completely black in color. He has very distorted limbs. Lot description is given. All that essentially means is all the negative and the impure qualities which are in Vena are first removed out, right? And then it is actually kept aside. So this person who actually comes out is called as that. There's an entire race which comes out of him called as the Nishida race. So Nishida. Okay. So, and because that whatever Bahuka is, Bahuka just means somebody who is black in color. The Bahuka comes and says, what should I do? Right? Very similar to when from Brahma's eyes, it happened, right? So early, a long time back. So here this Bahuka says, what do I do? So they say, sit here. So sit here means Nishida. Sit here. So that person's name becomes Nishida, and there's an entire race of people who come after him, which is called as a Nishida race, which is referred later on in Prahlada Charitram and other places. That race is referred, but no reference to anything else. So there's a lineage of people, right, who come from this person called Bahuka. So with that, this chapter comes to an end, because now that all the negativity is gone out of Vena, they're going to continue. And then in the next chapter, Prithu, Bhagavan's incarnation as Prithu is going to happen in the next one, which also comes from Vena only. But first this Bahuka and Nishida come. So that is end of this chapter. All right. Anybody has an understanding of what that means? Then please say. I don't know what it means of churning. I also tried to research, but it just says is extracting his bad qualities out so that the good qualities can remain later. So, all right. Let me see. Uma, you can be a student, and Sudha, you can be a student. Maitreyo Vacha. Itham viparyaya matihi, papiyan utpatham gatah anuniyamanas tadhyachnyam. So it's each and a nya there. Tadhyachnyam, na chakre bhrashtamangalah. Maitreyo vacha itham viparyaya matihi papiyan utpatham gatah anuniyamanas-tadhyachnyam na chakre bhrashtamangalah.
Rajesh,
Yeah.
that yachnyam has a Y sound or no?
Yeah, ich and nyam, Nya. Tadya. So it's like a tad, tad, T-A-D-H. Tadya.
Yeah, okay. So the
Tadyachnya.
nyam, I don't have the nyam, so I'll
Okay,
add that.
nya sound. N-Y-A-M.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh.
मैत्रेय उवाच इत्थं विपर्ययमतिः पापीयानुत्पथं गतः अनुनीयमानस्तद्ध्याज्ञां न चक्रे भ्रष्टमङ्गलः
मैत्रेय उवाच इत्थं विपर्ययमतिः पापीयान् उत्पथं गतः अनुनीयामनास्तद्याज्ञां न चक्रे भ्रष्टमङ्गलः.
Sudha, on the second line, first word. Anuniyamanas tadyachnyam.
अनुनीयमानस्तद्याज्ञां न चक्रे भ्रष्टमङ्गलः.
Iti te sat kritastena, द्विजा पंडित मानिना bhagnayam bhavya yachnyayam. Again, that word yachnyayam. Tasmai vidura chukruduhu. Iti te satkritasthena dvija panditamanina bhagnayam bhavya yachnyayam tasmai vidura chukruduhu.
इति ते सत्कृतास्तेन द्विजाः पण्डितमानिना भग्नायां भव्ययाच्ञायां तस्मै विदुरचुक्रुधुः
इति ते सत्कृतास्तेन द्विजा पण्डितमानिना भग्नायां भव्ययाज्ञायां तस्मै विदुरचुक्रुधुः.
Yach, ich sound,
याच्ञायां तस्मै विदुरचुक्रुधुः.
Hanyatam, hanyatameshaha. Add a visarga there. Papaf prakriti dharunah जीवन जगदसावाशु, कुरुते भस्मसात् ध्रुवम्. हन्यतामेषः पापः प्रकृतिदारुणः जीवन जगदसावाशु कुरुते भस्मसात् ध्रुवम्.
हन्यतामेषः पापः प्रकृतिदारुणः जीवन् जगदसावाशु कुरुते भस्मसात् ध्रुवम्.
हन्यतामेषः पाप प्रकृतिदारुणः जीवन् जगदसावाशु कुरुते भस्मसात् ध्रुवम्.
नायम् अर्हत्य सद्वृत्तो, one word, अर्हत्य सद्वृत्तो नर देव वरासनम् योधि यज्ञ पतिं विष्णुं, विनिन्दत्य नपत्रपः, one word. नायमर्हत्य सद्वृत्तो नरदेव वरासनं योधि यज्ञपतिं विष्णुं विनिन्दत्य नपत्रपः.
नायम् अर्हत्य सद्वृत्तो नरदेववरासनं योधि यज्ञपतिं विष्णुं विनिन्दत्य नपत्रपः.
नायम् अर्हत्य सद्वृत्तो नरदेववरासनं योधि यज्ञपतिं विष्णुं विनिन्दत्य नपत्रपः.
को वैनं परिचक्षीत, वेनम् एकं ऋते शुभं प्राप्त ईदृशम् ऐश्वर्यं, यदनुग्रह भाजनः. को वैनं परिचक्षीत वेनमेकं ऋते शुभं प्राप्त ईदृशम् ऐश्वर्यं यदनुग्रह भाजनः.
को वैनं परिचक्षीत वेनमेकमृते शुभं प्राप्त ईदृशमैश्वर्यं यदनुग्रहभाजनः.
को वेनं परिचक्षीत वेनम् एकं हृदे शुभं प्राप्त ईदृशमैश्वर्यं यदनुग्रहभाजनः.
इत्थं व्यवसिता हन्तुं, ब्रेकिंग एट दैट मा, ऋषयो रूढमन्यवः निजग्नुर् हुंकृतैर्वेनं, हतम् अच्युत निन्दया. इत्थं व्यवसिता हन्तुं ऋषयो रूढमन्यवः निजग्नुर्हुंकृतैर्वेनं हतमच्युत निन्दया.
इत्थं व्यवसिता हन्तुं ऋषयो रूढमन्यवः निर्जघ्नुर्हुङ्कृतैर्वेनं हतमच्युत निन्दया.
Second line, first word, nijagnur. I heard a nir sound, nijagnur.
Okay, nijagnur. Okay.
इत्थं व्यवसिता हन्तुं ऋषयो रूढमन्यवः हुङ्कृतैर्वेनं हतमच्युत निन्दया.
ऋषिभिः स्वाश्रमपदं, गते पुत्रकलेवरं सुनीता पालयामास, vidya yogena shochati. So Vena dies in the previous one, but she preserves his body. Rishibhis swashramapadam gate putrakalevaram sunita palayamasa vidya yogena shochati.
ऋषिभिः स्वाश्रमपदं गते पुत्रकलेवरं सुनीता पालयामास विद्यायोगेन शोचति.
ऋषिभिः स्वाश्रमपदं गते पुत्रकलेवरं सुनीता पालयामास विद्यायोगेन शोचति.
Rajesh, ரிஷிபெஸ்ல ரூ தானே அது?
ரிஷிபெஸ்.
ஓகே.
ரூ கிடையாது, ரு. அது வந்து ரூவும் கிடையாது, ரீயும் கிடையாது.
ஓகே. தமிழ்ல ரூன்னு போட்டிருக்கு.
அதான், அது ரூவும் கிடையாது, ரீயும் கிடையாது. இங்கிலீஷ்ல we write it as rishi, R-I, right? But it's actually ru. It's not R-I is the closest way of writing it, but it's actually ru.
Okay, thank you.
Ekada munayastetu, saraswat salilaplutāha hutvagni sat katash chakruhu. So the ru that is there, put a visarga comma, chakruhu, upavishtas sarittate. Ekadha munayastetu saraswat salilaplutāha hutvagni sat katash chakruhu upavishtas sarittate.
एकदा मुनयस्ते तु सरस्वत्सलिलाप्लुताः हुत्वाग्नीन् सत्कथाश्चक्रुः उपविष्टाः सरित्तटे.
एकदा मुनयस्ते तु सरस्वत्सलिलाप्लुताः हुत्वाग्नीन् सत्कथाश्चक्रुः उपविष्टाः सरित्तटे.
Bhikshyotitānstadotpātān. So up to that is, you have to say it together. Bhikshyotitānstadotpātān, in breaking at that na, ahur loka bhayankaran apyabhadram anathayaha. Add a visargan comma there. Anathayaha dasyubhyo na bhaved bhuvaha. Bhikshyotitānstadotpātān ahur loka bhayankaran apyabhadram anathayaha dasyubhyo na bhaved bhuvaha.
Rajeshi, what is that second word, Rajeshi? Vishothidan, after that?
Tadotpātān.
Okay, I have Mahotpadan.
Sorry, what is it we have?
I have Mahotpadan.
In Telugu also we have as Mahotpatan.
Okay, Uma, I think you have this. You have Tadotpātān, right?
Yeah, Tadotpātān.
I don't know what the meaning is, but we'll keep it as Tadotpātān.
First ta, right?
Yeah, first ta.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh.
वीक्ष्योत्थितांस्तदोत्पातान् आहुर्लोकभयङ्करान् अप्यभद्रमनाथायाः दस्युभ्यो न भवेद्भुवः.
वीक्षितोंस्ततोत्पादान् आहुर्लोकभयङ्करान् अभ्यभद्रमनायाताः दस्युभ्यो न भवेद्भुवः.
So the second line, anathayaha.
Anathayaha, okay.
And then the first word, vikshyotitāns, iksh, not a full ksha.
Okay, vikshyotitāns.
Yeah.
Vikshotitan bahota. What is it?
Tadotpātān.
Tahot.
Tado. First ta, then the da. Tadot.
Thank you.
In Tamil 3 varum. Number first and third. Evam mrishanta rishayo, dhavatam sarvato disham, pamsu sumattito bhurihi, ish goes away, visarga, choranam abhilumpatam. Evam mrishanta rishayo, dhavatam sarvato disham, pamsu sumattito bhurihi, choranam abhilumpatam.
Rajesh, second in the Pamsus Samuthito nu potrukku.
What did I say? Samuttito na?
Sumathito.
Oh, samuttito bhurihi. Sorry, yeah, my mistake. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Evam rishantarishyo dhavatam sarvato disham pamsus samuthito bhurihi choranam abhilupta choranam abhilumpatam.
एवं ऋषन्तर्षयो धावतां सर्वतो दिशं पांसुः समुत्थितो भूरिः चोराणाम् अभिलुम्पताम्.
तदुपद्रवम् आज्ञाय, लोकस्य वसुलुम्पताम्, भर्तर्युपरते तस्मिन्, if you have a double na, in, अन्योन्यं च जिगांसताम्. तदुपद्रवमाज्ञाय लोकस्य वसुलुम्पताम्, भर्तर्युपरते तस्मिन् अन्योन्यं च जिगांसताम्.
तदुपद्रवमाज्ञाय लोकस्य वसुलुम्पतां भर्तुर्युपरते तस्मिन् अन्योन्यं च जिघांसताम्.
तदुपद्रवमाज्ञाय लोकस्य वसुलुम्पतां भर्तुर्युपरते तस्मिन् अन्योन्यं च जिगांसताम्.
Second line, भर्तर्युपरते.
भर्तर्युपरते तस्मिन्.
शोरप्रायं जनपदं, हीन सत्वम अराजकं, लोकानावारयन्, one word, लोकानावारयन् छक्ताः, add a visarga, छक्ताः, अपि तद्दोषदर्शिनः. शोरप्रायं जनपदं हीन सत्वमराजकं, लोकानावारयन् छक्ताः, अपि तद्दोषदर्शिनः.
चोरप्रायं जनपदं हीनसत्त्वम् अराजकं लोकान्नावारयन् छक्ताः अपि तद्दोषदर्शिनः.
चोरप्रायं जनपदं हीनसत्त्वमराजकं लोकानां वारयन् छक्ताः अपि तद्दोषदर्शिनः.
ब्राह्मणः समदृक् शान्तो, दीनानां समुपेक्षकः, स्रवते ब्रह्म तस्यापि, भिन्न भाण्डात् पयो यथा. ब्राह्मणः समदृक् शान्तो दीनानां समुपेक्षकः, स्रवते ब्रह्म तस्यापि, भिन्न भाण्डात् पयो यथा.
ब्राह्मणः समदृक्शान्तो दीनानां समुपेक्षकः, स्रवते ब्रह्म तस्यापि भिन्नभाण्डात् पयो यथा.
ब्राह्मणः समदृक्शान्तो दीनानां समुपेक्षकः, स्रवते ब्रह्म तस्यापि भिन्नभाण्डात् पयो यथा.
नांगस्य वंशो राजर्षेः, रे that is there, first remove it, visarga comma, राजर्षेः एष संस्थातुम् अर्हति, अमोघ वीर्याहि नृपाः, visarga because we are putting a comma there, नृपाः, वंशेऽस्मिन् केशवाश्रयाः. नांगस्य वंशो राजर्षेः एष संस्थातुम् अर्हति, अमोघ वीर्याहि नृपाः, वंशेऽस्मिन् केशवाश्रयाः.
नांगस्य वंशो राजर्षेः एष संस्थातुमर्हति, अमोघवीर्या हि नृपाः, वंशेऽस्मिन् केशवाश्रयाः.
नांगस्य वंशो राजर्षेः एष संस्थातुमर्हति, अमोघवीर्या हि नृपाः, वंशेऽस्मिन् केशवाश्रयाः.
So the question is, why did they want to continue? Why did they want to do anything with Vena's body is answered here. because the sages knew that in that amsham of Vena, the person who is going to come eventually is Keshava Ashrayaha. Is going to be devoted to Keshava, right? Devoted to Bhagavan, because that's why Prithu is going to be incarnate. Prithu is an incarnation. It's a partial incarnation of Narayana, anyways. So they knew that something is going to come out of this person's body. So that's why Sunita, mother was retaining the body. They decided to continue to churn it. That's why they're saying they want the lineage is actually going to be a blessed lineage coming in the hierarchy of Vena, although Vena was not a great person.
Rajesh, it may be they are trying to get the DNA. You know,
possible. That's what I said. I don't know what it is, because some of these things they just use the words which may not literally mean something, right? Like it just says it's symbolic, right? So there's a churning the thigh, and the Bahuka comes. Later on in the next chapter, they are going to take the two arms of Vena. And then from that, one male is going to come, one female is going to come in the next chapter, right? So maybe it's something, anyway, yeah, that's what even I was thinking, but there's no more detail given even in Bhagavatam to talk about it, right? To find out more about it. So,
the part below the waist is Adobhagam, right? We talk about 14 yogas too. So maybe the bad part is in the bottom. So the thigh gets rid of the
that is the reference to the thigh. That is indeed the reference to the thigh, is because the thigh is like the bottom portion. It contains the impurities. So they're getting that out. And then the arms is Bahu Rajanya Kritaha. The arms of the Purusha refers the kings, right? Are for the kings. So that's why when they churn out from the arms, Prithu Maharaja, Prithu Raja is going to come out, right? So that is a symbolic reference to the thigh, and the arms are that. But I don't know if there's any other more reason for that.
Yeah, like Kshatriyas come from the arm or something.
Yeah, that's why Bahu. Yeah, exactly. That's why the churning of the hand happens, and Prithu Maharaja comes then. Vinishchityaivam Rishayo. You can break it that Vinishchityaivam Rishayo. Vipannasya Mahipatehe. Mamantururum Tarasa, Tatrasit Bahuko Naraha. The Bahuka is coming here. Vinishchityaivam Rishayo Vipannasya Mahipatehe Mamantururum Tarasa Tatrasit Bahuko Naraha.
विनिश्चित्यैव मृषयो विपन्नस्य महीपतेः ममन्थुरूरुं तरसा तत्रासीद्बाहुको नरः
विनिश्चित्यैव मृषयो विपन्नस्य महीपतेः ममन्थुरूरुं तरसा तत्रासीद्बाहुको नरः
आक कृष्णोति ह्रस्वांगो, ह्रस्व बाहुर महाहनुः ह्रस्व पानिम्न नासाग्रो, रक्ताक्षस ताम्र मूर्धजः. Describing the form of the Bahuka. Kaka, black color, black like the crow. Kaka krishnoti hraswango hrasva bahur mahahanuhu hrasva panimna nasagro raktakshas tamra murdhajah.
Kaka krishnoti hrasvango hrasva bahur mahahanuhu hrasva panimna nasagro raktakshas tamra murdhajah.
Kaka krishnoti hrasvango hrasva bahur mahahanuh hrasva panimna nasagro raktakshas tamra murdhajah.
We just switch last round. Priya, Arun, Sabita, you can be a student, and Vasu, you can be a student. Sabita and Vasu. Tam tu te vanatam deenam, kim karomiti vadinam, nishidetya bhruvams, that's one word, nishidetya bhruvams tata, sa nishadas tato bhavati. Like I said, the nishada, sa nishadas tato bhavati. Tam tu te vanatam deenam, kim karomiti vadinam, nishidetya bhruvams tata, sa nishadas tato bhavati.
Tantu te vanatam deenam किं करोमीति वादिनं निषीदेत्य ब्रुवंस्तात स निषादस्ततोऽभवत्
तु ते वनतं दीनं किं करोमीति वाधिनं निषीधेत्य ब्रुवंस्तात स निषादस्ततोऽभवत्
तस्य वंश्यास्तु नैषादाः. Add a visarga. So the nishada in his vamsham, the people are called as naishada. So naishadaha, comma, giri kanana gocharaha, enaharat jayamano, comma, vena kalmasham ulbanam. Tasya vamshyastu naishadaha, giri kanana gocharaha, enaharat jayamano, vena kalmasham ulbanam.
तस्य वंश्यास्तु नैषादाः गिरिकाननगोचराः येनाहरज्जायमानो वेन कल्मषमुल्बणम्
वंश्यास्तु नैषादाः गिरिकाननगोचराः येनाहरज्जायमानो वेन कल्मषमुल्बणम्.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां चतुर्थस्कन्धे ऋतुचरिते निषाद उत्पत्तिर, what do you call the formation of nishada, nishadotpattir nama chaturdashodhyayah.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां चतुर्थस्कन्धे ऋतुचरिते निषादोत्पत्तिर्नाम चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां चतुरस्कन्धे ऋतुचरिते निषादोत्पत्तिर्नाम चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः.
अथ पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः is the incarnation of Prithu. Maitreyo vacha ata tasya punar vipraihi, the visarga ra goes away, visarga comma, aputrasya mahipatehe bahubhyam matyamanabhyam, comma, mithunam samapadyata. So here is where bahubhyam, they didn't churn the arms of Vena here. Maitreyo vacha atatasya punarvipraihi aputrasya mahipatehe bahubhyam matyamanabhyam mithunam samapadyata.
मैत्रेय उवाच अथ तस्य पुनर्विप्रैः अपुत्रस्य महीपतेः बाहुभ्यां मथ्यमानाभ्यां मिथुनं समपद्यत.
मैत्रेयो उवाच अथ तस्य पुनर्विप्रैः अपुत्रस्य महीपतेः बाहुभ्यां मत्यमानाभ्यां मिथुनं समपद्यत.
Rajesh,
yeah.
The second line, is it bahubhyam mathyamanabhyam or
matyamanabhyam?
Okay.
Matyamanabhyam.
Oh, matyava, எனக்கு மத்தியன் கொடுத்திருக்கு.
இல்ல matyamanabhyam.
Okay.
Tad drishtva mithunam jatam, so break at that ma there, jatam, rishayo brahmavadinah uchuf parama santushtaha, add a visarga there, santushtaha, viditva bhagavat kalam. So the couple from the two arms, one a male comes, one a female comes out. Tad drishtva mithunam jatam rishayo brahmavadinah ऊचुः परमसन्तुष्टाः विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्.
तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिनः ऊचुः परमसन्तुष्टाः विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्.
दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिनः ऊचुः परमसन्तुष्टाः विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्.
Sorry, one question. Knowing that he was such a bad person, why is, I mean, why of all of the people, why is he selected and for the next his lineage to have the. I mean, I'm just saying, there are so many
And plus,
people.
the Anga who was there in the lineage of Dhruva, he only had one son. Remember, like last time he said he didn't have any children, and after that Bhagavan came, gave that prasadam. He does the sacrifice, right? They go pray to Narayana again. They do the yajnam, and from there a representation comes and gives him something, out of which Vena is born. Now the question is, why is that Vena in that lineage being bad? Right? So the only reference that is given is because Anga's wife hereditary. And the hereditary they say the lineage is not the great what do you call, like in the father's side the lineage is Dhruva's lineage, so it says they're all blessed by Bhagavan, so Anga is there, but the Anga's wife lineage side they are not great, so that's why it refers, because of some karma there, this guy is born, Vena is born, who has bad qualities. But because this Prithu is to be born in the lineage of Dhruva. Another the Vena would body in the Prithu and Mahalakshmi are going to come next. That is the only explanation given, right? I don't know. Nadula is the keeper.
Okay, that's fine. I mean,
okay,
just,
but the reason specifically given is he's born bad because of the influence of the mother's ancestry side. And the people are bad, so that karma continued to this person. That's why
it reminded me of the Egypt mummification process. I don't know why.
The process is literally that's what it is, because she preserves the body, right? That's exactly what it is, right?
Okay.
Rishaya Uchuhu Esha Vishnur Bhagavatah Kala Bhuvana Palini Iyamcha Lakshmiya Sambhutihi, Purushasyana Payini. So he says one person, the male who is born, is an incarnation of Vishnu, and the female who is born is an incarnation of Mahalakshmi, because they're always together. Rishaya Uchuhu Esha Vishnur Bhagavatah Kala Bhuvana Palini Iyamcha Lakshmiya Sambhutihi Purushasyana Payini.
ऋषय ऊचुः एष विष्णोर्भगवतः कला भुवनपालिनी इयञ्च लक्ष्म्या सम्भूतिः पुरुषस्यानपायिनी.
ऋषय ऊचुः एष विष्णोर्भगवतः कला भुवनपालिनी इयं च लक्ष्म्या सम्भूतिः पुरुषस्यानपायिनी.
Ayam tu pratamo rajñam, puman prathayita yashah, Pritur nama maharajo, bhavishyati pritushravah. So he's going to be named Prithu. Ayam tu pratamo rajñam, puman prathayita yashah, Pritur nama maharajo, bhavishyati pritushravah.
Ayam tu prathamo rajñam, puman prathayita yashah, पृथुर्नाम महाराजो भविष्यति पृथुश्रवाः.
अयं तु प्रथमो राज्ञं पुमां प्रतयिता यशः पृथुर्नाम महाराजो भविष्यति पृथुश्रवाः.
इयं च सुदती देवी लॉन्गी, गुण भूषण भूषणा Archir Nama Vararoha, Prutum Evavarundhati. So that Lakshmi Devi's incarnation is called Archi. Iyam cha Sudati Devi Guna Bhushana Bhushana Archir Nama Vararoha Prutum Evavarundhati.
Iyam cha Sudati Devi Guna Bhushana Bhushana Archirnama Vararoha Prithumeva
Yam cha Sudati Devi Gunabhushana Bhushana Archirnama Vararoha Prithum Eva Varundhati.
Esha Sakshat Harer Amsho. They're saying this Sakshat Hari's incarnation. Harer Amsho. Jato Loka Rirakshaya Iyamcha Tatpara Hi Shrihi. So that Ra goes away, Visarga, Shrihi. Next word starts with the A. Anujagnena Payini. One word. एष साक्षात् हरेरंशो जातो लोकरिरक्षया इयं च तत्परा हि श्रीः अनुजज्ञेन पायिनी.
Rajesh, the first Sakshat Dhareramshon irukke.
ஆமா, அது வந்து அது ஹா தான் அது, பட் அந்த தாக்கு அடியில when they put it at the bottom it takes a dha sound, but if you say sakshad you can say hareramsho, it's okay.
Okay. Esha Sakshat Hareramsho Jato Lokari Rakshaya Iyancha Tatparahi Shrihi Anujagnena Payini.
एष साक्षात् हरेरंशो जातो लोकरिरक्षया इयं च तत्परा हि श्रीः अनुजग्ने न पायिनी.
मैत्रेयो उवाच प्रशंसन्ति स्म तं विप्राः आड विसर्ग कॉमा गंधर्व प्रवरा जगुः मुमुचुस् सुमनोधाराः कॉमा सिद्धा नृत्यन्ति स्वस्त्रियः. मैत्रेयो उवाच प्रशंसन्ति स्म तं विप्राः गन्धर्व प्रवरा जगुः मुमुचुः सुमनोधाराः सिद्धा नृत्यन्ति स्वस्त्रियः.
मैत्रेय उवाच प्रशंसन्ति स्म तं विप्राः गन्धर्वप्रवरा जगुः मुमुचुः सुमनोधाराः सिद्धा नृत्यन्ति स्वस्त्रियः.
मैत्रेय उवाच प्रशंसन्ति स्म तं विप्राः गन्धर्व प्रवरा जगुः मुमुचुः सुमनोधाराः सिद्धा नृत्यन्ति स्वस्त्रियः.
टंक तूर्य मृदंगाध्याः again विसर्गा कॉमा नेदुर दुंदुभयो दिवि तत्र सर्व उपाजग्मुः again विसर्गा कॉमा इर्गोसवे देवर्षि पितॄणां गणाः डबल ऋ पितॄणां गणाः शंखतूर्य मृदंगाध्याः नेदुर्दुन्दुभयो दिवि तत्र सर्व उपाजग्मुः देवर्षि पितॄणां गणाः.
शंखतूर्य मृदंगाद्याः नेदुर्दुन्दुभयो दिवि तत्र सर्व उपाजग्मुः देवर्षि पितॄणां गणाः.
शंखतूर्य मृदंगाद्याः नेदुर्दुन्दुभयो दिवि तत्र सर्व उपाजग्मुः देवर्षि पितॄणां गणाः.
पितॄणां गणाः
देवर्षि पितॄणां गणाः.
ब्रह्मा जगद्गुरुर्देवैः सहाश्रित्य सुरेश्वरैः वैन्यस्य दक्षिणे हस्ते दृष्ट्वा चिन्नं गदाभृतः. ब्रह्मा जगद्गुरुर्देवैः सहाश्रित्य सुरेश्वरैः वैन्यस्य दक्षिणे हस्ते दृष्ट्वा चिन्नं गदाभृतः.
ब्रह्मा जगद्गुरुर्देवैः सहाश्रित्य सुरेश्वरैः वैन्यस्य दक्षिणे हस्ते दृष्ट्वा चिन्नं गदाभृतः.
मा जगद्गुरुर्देवैः सहाश्रित्य सुरेश्वरैः वैन्यस्य दक्षिणे हस्ते दृष्ट्वा चिन्नं गदाभृतः.
पादयोर अरविन्दं च तं वै मेने हरे कलां यस्या प्रतिहतं चक्रम् इम् अंशस्य परमेष्ठिनः. पादयोररविन्दं च तं वै मेने हरे कलां यस्या प्रतिहतं चक्रम् अंशस्य परमेष्ठिनः.
पादयोररविन्दं च तं वै मेने हरेः कलां यस्या प्रतिहतं चक्रम् अंशस्य परमेष्ठिनः.
पादयोररविन्दं च तं वै मेने हरे कलां यस्य प्रतिहतं चक्रम् अंशस्य परमेष्ठिनः.
In case any of you haven't checked your right palm or bottom of your feet, if you happen to have a chakram and then you have a lotus on the bottom of your feet, that means you are an amsham of Vishnu. You haven't checked all these years, so that's what here Brahma is coming and confirming, and he's going to do it a couple more times. Even in Vamanavataram, the same thing is going to happen when Vamana. So that is how they come and confirm, saying, yes, you indeed are an incarnation of Mahavishnu. So that's what he's coming and checking here. तस्याभिषेक आरब्धो ब्राह्मणैर् ब्रह्मवादिभिः आभिषेचनिकान्यस्मै आजह्रुः सर्वतो जनाः. तस्याभिषेक आरब्धो ब्राह्मणैर् ब्रह्मवादिभिः आभिषेचनिकान्यस्मै आजह्रुः सर्वतो जनाः.
तस्याभिषेक आरब्धो ब्राह्मणैर्ब्रह्मवादिभिः आभिषेचनिकान्यस्मै आजह्रुः सर्वतो जनाः.
स्याभिषेक आरब्धो ब्रह्मणैर्ब्रह्मवादिभिः आभिषेश्च निकान्यस्मै यस्मै आजह्रुः सर्वतो जनाः.
First line after the comma, Brahmanair Brahmavadibihi. Okay.
Oh, na Brahmanai Brahman.
Yeah, Brahmanair. Yeah. Sarit Samudra Girayo, comma, Naga Gava Khagamrigaha Dyauhu. So you have to say that Visarga Dyauhu Kshitis Sarva Bhutani, comma, Samajahrur Upayanam. Sarit Samudra Girayo Naga Gavah Khaga Mrighaha Dyauhu Kshitis Sarva Bhutani Samajahrur Upayanam.
Sarit Samudra Girayo Naga Gavah Khaga Mrighaha Dyauhu Kshitis Sarva Bhutani Samajahrur Upayanam.
Samudra Girayo Naga Gava Khaga Mrigaha Dyauhu dane. Dyauhu Shitihi Sarva Bhutani. Shitis soliduma. Okay. Dyauhu Shitis Sarva Bhutani Samajahrur Upayanam.
Stop here today. Shri Hare Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha. Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Kahena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami. Thank you, everyone. See you next
Thank you,
week.
Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.